continuing this arduous climb because I think open country is above me a short distance here. I want to get to it. Make one more shot up there, then I'll stop because it doesn't look like I can easily get to it. Must be one of the very old streets. Access is no longer used. Looks like the land not even used, replaced by better roads with vehicle access. Maybe. I'm guessing that much of the rock I'm walking over is just eroded off these walls. At last. Dogs and humans do not have a very easy relationship. That dog was down digging in the trash when I made a couple of grunt sounds, and he bolted out of there like he was in real danger. Countries like Mexico, they just attack. I'm guessing that these are what the canyons I've seen from a distance, which just look like moderate little rills down those barren slopes. This is what it must actually look like up close. It would be like to hike up that canyon. I'm not going to. Pretty flowers that are reminiscent of pink dandelions. You can see how this was once sedimentary rock, and that somehow through the washing down of material, these two stones, round stones, in ancient rivers weathered, are embedded. And here example of pink and yellow dandelion lookalikes, if in fact they're not dandelions and or of the family. A couple of saddled horses, so men must be doing something down there. There's a man hollering to me from over there. Don't know what he's saying, and I can't see him yet. You'll notice that there's old walls. Yeah, I think he's calling me from that intersection of paths down there. But I can't see him yet. As I go up, I want to look at that bridge. Look how large that is, and yet it doesn't seem to serve any function. But in ancient times, who knows what the role of this area was. I am pleased to meet you, Lo Lin. Bye-bye. How he suspected I was American is a good question. At the very end, before I turned to walk down the path back downhill and he could no longer see me, I yelled back and waved, "Bye-bye, Yolin." And he hollered back. I couldn't see him. He hollered back, "Bye-bye, Scott," or something like Scott. Those are the rich, rare, small, tiny moments that are precious in travel. The kind that I'll remember all the rest of my life, while the more dramatic may fade. Because therefore, just a few moments that'll never be recreated between he and I, two humans reached across a literal abyss and a cultural abyss to touch hands, figuratively. And in some small way, but somehow for me profound, an important friendship way. Here we look down into the nice gardens of some owner. Corn, I think, is being planted there around that olive tree, and maybe onions here. Probably a grape on that vine, and working their way over that artery. It almost seems like some epidemic must have hit all the grapes in Albania at one time, and now they're all being restored. How long ago was it in America that we had our victory farms? Grew our own food for family. I thought this conical roof, which may be on a mosque or maybe on a home because it does look like it's around the building, was a nice counterpoint to the gorge in itself, backdropped by those snow-covered mountains. Here's some men rebuilding this roof up here of native rock. A precarious job. One would imagine with all these roofs, the skill has to be alive. You have to be a young, powerful man to do that. Good thing I stopped here because this is where I came down. Although I think I'll go back this way. Looking at this building, you see so many vertical aligned cracks. It makes you wonder or realize how difficult it must be to build with stone on a slope and have it stay together for hundreds of years. Before going down, I just thought I'd follow this little trail up a little ways. It's always so intriguing to see old rock walls, although this place absolutely abounds with them as retaining walls. But they're always so interesting to me because of the implied amount of physical work. And I think too, when you realize that stonework like this has probably been going on as a trade for a couple of thousand years in this area, giving a pretty good idea, a very clear example in my mind of why did guilds exist during the medieval era. In part they existed because they'd probably been existing in an informal way for eons, because the skills, the disciplines, what one conjurer called my tricks in the garage door trade, or the mysteries that Rebecca West talks about, were inherent in such trades. And I might add, only to be learned from father to son, hands-on. I'm at Ruga Argjiro, which gets its name from the legend of Argjiro, when the Janissaries of the Ottoman Turks were attacking and had entered the fort. A young woman named Argjiro, with her brand new baby, decided that being shipped off to some other place in the Turkish Empire as a slave, or worse, it was better to throw herself and her child off the end of the castle and die than to submit to that. So she did, and was followed by others, to the amazement of these almost invincible Janissaries.